I didn't know this was going to traumatize my balls. You never said anything about it, but my balls look like fucking Gorbachev's forehead. What up, what up, what up? I'm your boy Seth Grimes. Welcome to the debut episode of Live to Tape, my brand new podcast, which is just going to sort of be a form of therapy for me. You know, it's just going to kind of be my audio journal, if you will, a place to kind of just let my stream of consciousness reach the ether, get out there into the world. And, you know, if I'm talking to a brick wall and nobody's listening, that's fine, because it's healthy for me to be able to just kind of vent on things. But if you are listening, welcome. I appreciate you. I'm happy that you're here. And I hope you learn more about me, but also about yourself, you know. I hope to have a lot of deep personal discussions, a lot of deep philosophical discussions, a lot of just random thoughts, sometimes some angry rants, just kind of thoughts and opinions on everything in the world, you know, my, like I said, my sort of audio journal, if you will. So this is the first episode. I'm also going to be jumping back into the pro wrestling podcast. And I know I said podcast twice. That's the point. It's supposed to be redundant, but, going to be doing that as well. That's where I take clips from all the best of the weekly pro wrestling podcasts that are out there. There's hundreds of them. I'll be the 101th, thousands of them even. I'll be the thousands and oneths. But with this podcast, we're going to, instead of talk about the wrestling, we're going to talk about the wrestling podcast. I ran for about a half a year, and then I kind of hit a brick wall. Just to be flat out honest with you, it was depression. You know, we'll get into a lot of that. I'm not going to kind of burden you with that on the first episode, but, you know, depression's been something I think certainly I've been struggling with, but I think all of us have. I don't know too many people that are just kind of living their best life right now. I think people are just getting through, trying to find a way to get through. And, yeah, shit just got heavy. I was dating a girl for a little bit, and shit got wacky there. And I just kind of got out of it, and I got out of doing the podcast, and I got out of doing a lot of things. I got really unmotivated in life in general. You know, it's affected, it's, you know, I've gained weight from it. You know, I've poor performance at work because I don't want to be there. But like I said, I'm not going to get too heavy with you here, but it's something I've been struggling with and kind of trying to work through. And like I said, it has affected podcasts that I've done in the past and things like that. But this is sort of my stake in the ground that I'm getting back into it, you know, because if you're not living, you're dying. And I can't just work and then sit on the couch. You know what I mean? You got to go out and you got to live life a little bit. So that's what I'm trying to do here. Trying to get back out there in the world. A lot of shit popping. I don't want to get too heavy into that at the top here, because it'll just kind of sound like a bunch of plugs. But I got a lot of projects I'm working on, I'm excited about. So we'll chat with you about that. But kind of the big thing I wanted to talk about today was I recently just had a surgery. I had hernia surgery. I had 3 hernias. 3 of them fuckers. I didn't even know what a hernia was necessarily for the longest time. Like, I kind of had an idea. Like, I knew it was something like, you know, they always say, oh, don't get a hernia when you're trying to lift something heavy or whatever, but I always thought it was like kind of like a pull, or I guess I knew a herniated disc was like a bulge of some kind, or like sticking out of the, you know, where the disc tissue sticks out of the spine. My hernias were not spinal. They were, at least that I'm aware of. Who knows? I had one in my stomach, and then one on each, like, where the balls drop, where your testiculars, you see there's a boy, and then there's girls. Boys have a penis, and girls have a vagina. Unless you're into, like, we don't want to get into the whole spectrum of things. That'll be a good conversation for another day. But in general, if you're a boy, you have nuts that drop, right? We can all agree on that at the very least. So those canals sometimes can they're weak, as it was described to me by the doctor, and it allows for sometimes tissue to, not tissue, but like intestines or whatever. It's gross. You don't really. We're gonna get gross here, by the way. It's gonna get a little graphic, so maybe not the best episode to listen to if you're squeamish. But welcome to the show. Welcome to me. Well, hi, how you doing? Let's get into some personal shit. But anyway, so it all kind of started, like the belly hernia. I think it happened after I had an appendix surgery about 6-7 years ago. I was just getting like appendicitis and went into the hospital. And after that, I had like this lump scar, like they went in through my belly button. And I had like a lump there after. And I always just thought it was just like somehow the way the scar tissue formed underneath. Like after they went in, it kind of like bulked together there. But what in actuality happened was, I think when they went in to do the surgery, it created a weakness, maybe when I was healing, and it just bulged right out. Either that or it bulged out and I don't know. But it happened from then, because I always thought it was a scar from that. I don't know when I got the other ones, but I went in for my physical this year, like right at the beginning of the year. I went in for a physical, and the doctor's like, does the whole, all right, drop your pants, which is always awkward. My doctor will he'll be like, well, there's no real good way to say this. We're just going to have to get real familiar with each other. So I'm going to need you to just drop your shit. Just stand in front of him like he's ready to just suck you off. You know what I mean? Like you just drop trow and just be like, here we go. And he does the kind of cough, he doesn't grab your balls when you cough. Like I think they always kind of play, they squeeze your balls and then cough. But he kind of like poked around, and he felt like in the pelvis area, like he did the right, and he was just like, okay. And then he did the left, and then he made me do the left again. And then a third time, and he's just like, okay, so you got a hernia there. I was like, motherfucker, what? And he asked me if it hurt or anything. I said, no, it doesn't hurt. But he basically told me, he's like, well, it's never going to go away. So it's always going to be like that at the very least. He's like, if it doesn't hurt now, it can start to hurt, but it might not, it may never bother me ever again. Or it could get worse over time. He's like, it's never going to get better. At the very least, it's either going to stay this way or worse. And he said, because you're so young, it's highly likely that at some point it'll bother me. So he said, but it's up to you, what you want to do with it. If you want to see a surgeon, I'll write you a referral. So fast forward to, and this is another story we'll get into maybe somewhere down the line, but I was preparing to lose my job back in here in February, actually, because there was that whole mandate thing. I'm not going to get political on this show, but I'll save that for somewhere else, somewhere down the way. But, I wasn't going to get the vaccine. So, they were going to fire me, basically. So, I was preparing for that. I was, going to lose my job over it, And so I figured I needed to get all my shit taken care of before that happens and I don't have insurance, right? And then, there was another sign. There was somebody on my Facebook feed who was he made a post about, finally I'm able to get surgery on my hernias. He said, I've been living in pain for years, or for a year or whatever he said. I don't know. But it was all kind of like, hey, motherfucker, you should probably get this taken care of, even though, and I'd get little pings here and there, like little, almost felt like a rubber band snapping, and then like numbness. It was really weird. I don't know if something like a nerve was getting pinched off every once in a while from the hernia. But I finally decided, like, okay, well, I'm gonna get this taken care of then. So what I did was I called the doctor back, and I told him, like, hey, bro, I want to get this in ASAP because I was out shoveling and I aggravated it, and now I'm in pain. That's not necessarily true. I mean, I did go shovel, but I didn't aggravate it. But I wanted to create a sense of urgency so that they didn't just schedule me for surgery in like May or something when I wasn't going to have a fucking job in February. So wanted to get it done ASAP. And, you know, fortunately they were able to streamline it pretty quick. I'm so lucky I got to go meet with the fucking surgeon. And he did the same thing. He's just like, all right, drop trow. I was like, really? He's just like, yep. No good way to do this, you know. Let's just make friends right away. So you just drop your pants, and he gets right up in there and did the same thing the doctor did. And he's like, all right. And he has a magical access to all my medical records, you know. So he's like, you know, I was looking at a MRI you had, and I don't know if that was from my appendix or I don't know when the fuck I had an MRI. It's like, but it looks like you might have another one on the right side. He's like, it's hard to tell. And he kind of pitched me two options. He's like, you can go about this two ways, right? Because he also confirmed like the bump on the belly scar was a hernia. So he's like, we can go about this two ways. We can go in through your stomach, and then we can knock out that belly hernia. And then I can also be able to see from there if you have that third hernia on the right side. It's like, or I can go in through like your pelvis area and just take care of that left hernia. You know, because I told him like the belly button I've had for years and it's never hurt. I always thought it was a scar. So he's like, well, you should probably get it taken care of because you're young. He's like, you know, you don't have to. He's like, you know, we can always do this again sometime. You know, but obviously if you're gonna get cut open and shit, you might as well like not put one off, especially when you know you have another one. It's like, well, it's not bothering me, so you can cut me open to take care of one hernia, but I'll just live with this other one. Like, what's the point, right? So I was like, all right, let's do the belly gimmick. So he schedules it. I'm able to get in fairly quick. I was kind of surprised. The scheduler called me and said that I needed somebody there with me. I don't know if this is just secretly because, like, I might die while I'm there getting surgery, and they need somebody that can, like, tell. Or they said it was just to give me a ride home, but they had to be there the whole time. They couldn't just like show up or whatever. Maybe it was just because they didn't want to have to sit and babysit me all doped up after the surgery. I don't know. But where I live, I got friends and shit, but I'm not going to ask a friend to take a day off of work to sit in the hospital and just do nothing and wait for me to get out of surgery. That's a huge ask for any friend, you know. That's got to be like family shit. And I don't have any family where I'm at. You know, I moved to this area by myself. Closest thing I got to family is my two kids, which aren't old enough to drive yet. Or, you know, my ex-wife, which... It's also like, okay, that's a big favor to ask of an ex-wife, but I did call it in. I called in that favor. I asked my ex-wife if she would sit at the hospital with me, take a day off of work, and she agreed to, because she's cool like that. So we got the appointment scheduled. I had to go in prior to that and take a blood test and a COVID test. This was my second COVID test I've gotten. The first one was like, they're both swabs in the nose, but the first one was like a small little like Q-tip basically, and they just kind of went around like the inner rim of my nose, like barely just swabbed the inside of it. And I was like, I always heard they stick these things up in your brain and stuff. They're like, nope, just this little. Well, when I went to the hospital to get this test, they fucking rammed it up there till I'm like almost sneezing on her and stuff. I'm like twitching and like suffering, and she's like, I know, just give me a minute. And that sucked. It was no fun. So, but I got all that taken care of, and I went in for the day of surgery. Now, this was only my second surgery ever. I don't even really go to the hospital for much ever. For some reason, I get kind of at peace in the hospital, or like a sense of comfort. I don't know if it's like a weird Stockholm thing, but like I have vivid memories of having my appendix out, being just like, I don't know, like I have fond memories of that time, like just being laid up in the hospital, watching movies on the TV. I think that was the first time I watched like Captain America Civil War or something like that. Sorry, I'm just drinking my Bang peach mango. I'm not going to edit that out either because this is live to tape. And the gimmick is just I don't want to edit anything. Because the Pro Wrestling podcast is a lot of editing. Like, it's a pain in the ass because I not only got to edit. So, like, I'll do a clip of a podcast. I got to edit. I got to cut that clip perfectly, trim it to where I want the clip that I want to select. And then I gotta like record and then edit and clean up my parts to where I talk about each of those segments. Like if I do take a sip or cough or fuck up or something, I'll cut that out. And then I'll go in and like try to clean it and stuff like. And I got like little transition noises and music, and it's a whole big production, right? It's a pain in the ass. So live to tape, just like the cover, it's a piece of paper, with a mixtape on it. This is just me spitballing here. So we're going to leave that in, and that was a sidebar, and this whole sidebar would have been cut out of a more well-produced podcast, but we're going to leave it in because fuck it. So I've always kind of been comfortable for some reason at the hospital, so I go in just chill as can be. I'm not nervous. I always I guess I feel like I'm in good hands there, or just don't care what the outcome is. I'm just like, whatever, like I block it out. I don't worry about, is it going to hurt after? Am I going to be in pain? Is it going to suck? Am I this? I just go in. I did have one fear is when I had my appendix out, when they give you the anesthesia and they knock you out, if you've ever had it or not, they put a breathing tube down your throat. And I don't know if I woke up early with the appendix gimmick or they just didn't take the tube out early enough and then they were just, just lollygagging with it or something. But I woke up and I had the tube. And then I had a panic attack immediately. I felt like I was on an alien spaceship. Like if you ever see the movie Fire in the Sky and the dude wakes up on the table and he's got aliens around him. And then they put that like stretchy shit over him to chill him out and shove goop in his mouth. This was like that, but not like that at all. So I woke up and I'm just freaking out because I got this shit down my throat. I'm having trouble breathing. I'm like gasping for air because I'm trying to breathe on my own now. And this fucking thing, whatever the tube's doing, they had to pull it out, and it took a while to like kind of calm me down and get me like back to reality, so to speak. So I told them that before they knocked me out. I was like, hey, this is what happened last time. And they kind of looked at me. They're like, you woke up and you still had the tube in your mouth? Like, clearly, like, that was either a mistake on the doctor's end or I woke up too early or both. Because it just, the way that they said it, it should have never happened. So, like, nope, don't worry about that. We'll take good care of you. It'll be like, you're never going to know anything. So, I go in. They bring me in. They make me, strip naked and put on the sheet with the butt hanging out. It's funny, too, because I had two nurses, and God bless nurses, man. they were so great. They were so kind and so gentle and sweet and friendly and calming. They were kind of just joking around with me and stuff. And they're like, don't worry, we're not going to look at your butt. And I'm like walking backwards still. And then they're kind of laughing about it. They're like, hey, he's still walking backwards. They're like, we're not going to look at your butt. Don't worry about it. We're used to it. We're nurses. We see it all the time. I'm like, I know. But so, yeah, I get in the gown. And they give you these cool little socks, too. They're like the bounce house socks where they got like the grippies on the feet. So you don't like slide on the floor while you're walking or something. I don't know. You just put all your clothes in a bag and they stuff it under the table and then they wheel your bed table out to the fucking surgery room or whatever. And I remember the doctor saying we're gonna, I talked to the two nurses. They walked me through kind of what was gonna happen. Then the doctor came in, the surgeon, and then the anesthesiologist came in. And they told me they were going to give me the IV. They gave me the IV. I remember getting the needle stuck in me. And then I don't remember jack shit after that. I remember like being wheeled out. Like I remember them moving the curtain. Like all these rooms were just have like a curtain in front of them, blocking them off from all the other rooms. They weren't like doors. I think it's probably just for quick, because they're like prep rooms probably. They go in there, they take your blood pressure, your blood samples, they give you your IVs, they get you all prepped and naked and shaved and whatever the fuck they got to do to you. And then they wheel you out. So it's probably just for easy access. But I vaguely remember being wheeled out and like going down the hall a little bit, and I was fucking gone. Gone. And then I woke up, like a nap. Like you wake up from sleeping and you're tired, and it was just like, And then I woke up nice and calm and relaxed, and here I am, and didn't feel a whole lot of nothing. I was pretty doped up still. And they basically said, you're all done, you're ready to go. And they had me get up, and that hurt like a bitch. It hurt so bad to get up. And then I'm a puss when it comes to painkillers and drugs. Like I've never been some people that listen to this might be surprised because, I hung out with a lot of the druggy crowd in high school and stuff like that. And like, I've always been an avid like weed smoker and that kind of stuff. But real drugs, like painkillers, like hard shit, I've never been able to do that kind of stuff. I got nauseous immediately, and they're like, well, I wish you would have told us that because we could have given you medicine for nausea where this wouldn't be a problem. So now here I am like puking. They give me this bucket and I'm apologizing to them. I'm like, I'm sorry you got it. Because they're two nurses and they're younger. They're about my age. So it's like, I'm not like I'm trying to mac on them or impress them or anything, but I'm not trying to like puke my guts out in front of them either. It's not the best way to, I don't know, just not something I want to do. So I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm peeing. They're like, no, geez, let it out now. And I was worried I was going to rip my stitches open because I'm like heaving, like dry heaving, because you don't eat or drink anything before you go in. So there's nothing to puke up. I'm just like, ugh. They gave me a little sip of water. They even commented, I puked up like black stuff. They were like, why is it black? One of the nurses asked the other. I never heard an answer. I don't know what the fuck that was all about, but that's probably too much information for you. But the devil was possessed by the devil. So it was hard. They had to like get me to a wheelchair, I think. I don't remember if I got wheelchaired out or if I got walked out. I imagine I was wheelchaired out, and then I just got into the car with my ex. Honestly don't remember. I don't really remember the car ride home. I don't remember just talking to her or anything. I remember vaguely like being there. And like the first thing I did, I got home and just crawled in bed and fucking went to sleep. My ex actually went and got my prescription for me, and then she got the kids and brought them over so that they could like, take out the garbage and change the cat litter and feed the cat and like do all the bending and lifting and squatting and stuff that I can't do. So everybody was great. Everybody helped out a lot. I was very, very humbled to have people, like my kids and my ex be so helpful and caring, I guess, and willing to do that for me, to be there for me. And then, so, like, I slept that whole day, the whole rest of the day, because I was done by, like, 2 o'clock. I was home in bed by, like, 2:30. I do remember noting the time and realizing how much time went by, because I went in, like, in the morning. And like I said, I felt like I just fell asleep. So it was like I was out for hours, like, they were really doing a number on me. Unless I was just, like, in recovery or whatever. But apparently what they do in the surgery is they go in and they find those hernias, and then they just kind of, which are just basically like bulges of like intestine or whatever, breaking through like weak spots in the muscle tissue, or like through where the testes drop and stuff. So I think I had the one in the belly burst through and my appendix was taken out because that was weak at that time because it was cut open to get to. So maybe it must have pushed through in the healing there. The other two just fell through my ball holes. So somewhere along the way I strained too hard or did something. I don't fucking know. They go in and they do that, and then they sew up the weak spots, like they patch up the holes basically. And then they put like a mesh in. And I had actually read about that online, I was kind of Googling this stuff, see what I'd be looking at. And a lot of them said don't get the mesh because there's complications later. But, so I asked the surgeon about that. I was like, hey, I was Googling the internet, and the internet told me not to use the mesh. I was like, I know I shouldn't just trust Google, but that's what it told me. He's just like, well, not really. He basically said, like, I guess it can happen, but that was more with, like, the older types of mesh, and, like, he'd been doing it with mesh for years and haven't had a problem. And likely he can do it either way, he said, but it's likely that I'll have, like, even if he sews those up, it's more potential for them to reoccur. But if the mesh is in place, it's going to hold them, and they're not likely to reoccur at that point. So it's possible still, but not likely. And yeah, so that's how he spent his day. They like do 3 incisions in my belly, like the mid belly, and then they did 1 in the belly button. And apparently, like, what they do is, he said they like will send a camera down in there, and then they do, like, he'll blow it up, like he blows air into it or gas into it or something. And that's supposed to, like, puff it open so that the camera can see around. It sounds so weird, like the body, you know what I mean? Like, well, we're going to cut you open. We're going to shove a camera down in there. We're going to blow you up, blow some air in there so that it'll expand so that we can see around. And I had to ask him too, I was like, hey, I got kind of I'm chubby, so is that going to affect anything? He said no. He said it'll make it a little bit easier. He finds it to be easier on bigger people, so I slept the whole rest of that day, like the whole day. My kids came by, I barely remember them being there. I slept till morning, woke up, got right into my pills because I was in fucking pain. Once the drugs wore off, the meds from the hospital, I was in some serious pain, like fucking feeling it. And I couldn't move. Like, just to get up, roll over, and go to the bath, like go walk 5 feet to the bathroom was impossible. It was so hard. Like, I had read that you'd be pretty, in a lot of pain and stuff, but I mean, I had no idea how laid up I would be. I never really thought it through. I just kind of thought, like, this is something I should get done before it becomes a problem, or I don't have the insurance to do it. But yeah, that whole first day, I slept. The whole second day, I was hitting the pills hard. He gave me oxycodone, and man, I was loving those fucking things. Like I said, I don't do painkillers well. I was loving those oxycodones. Like, I'll enjoy, like, I remember that with my appendix too. They gave me a morphine drip while I actually spent the night in the hospital there. This was like a outpatient, I was in and out the same day. But I remember the morphine drip. Like, you get that, you almost feel it immediately, and you're just like, woo! You fucking love that shit, right? Like, if I take like a half of Vicodin, like, I grew up in high school watching fucking 75-pound girls eat 2 or 3 Vicodins and just be good to go. I can't even handle a half of Vicodin. I'll get all pukey and shit. But for some reason, they were getting me on this oxycodone here, and I was just fucking loving it. I was still in pain, but it was like, it's an opiate, so it numbs you. Like, you feel, like, I could tell I was in pain. I could feel the pain, but, like, you don't feel the pain at the same time, It just kind of numbs you to it. Like, it's there. It doesn't make it go away, but it almost, you're non-responsive to it, right? So, same with emotional pain, by the way. It just numbs you completely. I get why people do those. I really do. I honestly, like, I did, as a matter of fact, it was a short prescription. It was really, honestly, all I needed. Like, he had it numbered perfect, But by the time I got to that last one, I was sad. Like, I wanted more, Like, I legit was craving more. Like, they're addicting that quick. Opiates, So I absolutely understand how people get hooked on things like that. Because I could have kept doing those every day, Pop one at night to relax, and then you start taking one during the day, the night one's not enough, and then you take one in the, it just, becomes a problem. So luckily they ran out, and like, after that day, after I was jonesing a little bit, I didn't have a craving the next day or anything, but those pills held me together because I was in some serious pain. That whole next day I slept basically all day. The times I was up, I'd get up. I got caught up on a lot of TV shows and movies and stuff. I watched, I'm blanking on it now. Well, I did watch Squid Game during that, but that's not the one I was thinking of. I watched another show during that time. I watched a few different shows while I was laid up, and I'm blanking on them now, so forgive me. But I did finally get to Squid Game. That's one I was kind of putting off for a while because it was so overhyped and whatever, but I actually really liked it. Oh, there was the girl next door, or girl across the street from the girl, and the woman across the street from the girl in the window type, whatever the fuck. The show on Netflix with Kristen Bell, that was pretty sick. I liked it. There's one other show I watched too. So I watched a lot of like TV. My cat, I got a cat for Christmas. His name is Goose, named after the Flurkin who eats the Tesseract in Captain Marvel and scratches out Nick Fury's eyeball. Yeah, so Goose, he was great. He like curled up next to me the whole time. He was my buddy. He sat basically. He hung out with me the whole time. Like, he'd go run around and play for a little bit, get food or whatever, but for the most part, he came and just spent time with me and kept me company. Like, he knew I was hurt or sick or something. Like, so he was there to just help me heal. And it's weird that animals have that sense, but it was definitely, he was with me the whole time. And I don't do a lot of couch potatoing either, so maybe it was that he was just like, if you're just chilling all day, I'll chill with you. But I don't do a lot of the sit and binge watch TV and stuff, so did that. Didn't shower for a few days. Had this like wrap on. They put this like, it was almost like a spank, it was like those spanks that chicks wear to like give them that hourglass look where their boobs are big and their waist is big but their belly's small. They had like a wrap around it. I didn't even touch that for 3 days. I think they said I could take it off right away, and I was good to shower as soon as the next day. But I was like almost afraid like my, the whole, like all my guts would fall out or something like that. So just left everything in. I didn't want to cause any extra trauma until I was starting to feel a little bit better. And it took through those first few days. Like once the oxycodone ran out, that's when I started to feel better. I was still in pain, but I was still starting to feel like you could get out of bed a little. Like, man, just the littlest things, like rolling over, standing up, going to pee. Like, impossible. But little by little, I was able to kind of get my movement back. I'm still in pain, still now. It's been like a week and a half, almost 2 weeks now. My belly's sore in certain spots, but just kind of like if you get punched in the gut really hard, or like I don't know. It just like cramps maybe. But yeah, it's like I haven't been to the gym or anything. I don't bend really fast. Like I still kind of go bend really slow to make sure that I don't kind of like pop anything or whatever. I don't lift anything heavy. I don't make any fast movements. So I'm just starting to not walk like an old man now. But I can kind of resume normal life at this point. I'm moving pretty regularly now, but it took a while to get to that point. Like my guts were toast, man. Like there's 3-4 holes in my belly. Like, and it's not the most major thing in the world, but I was sure as fuck laid up. So that was my journey for those couple weeks, and I took the day of the surgery off of work, and then the next 2 days. And I figured I'd be okay to go back to work, like, remote after that. Like, I can at least sit in front of a computer. But I couldn't. I had to call in sick. Both two. My surgery was on a Monday. I took the Thursday and Friday off, too, because I couldn't sit. Like, and even if I could sit, like, I was in pain still. So I couldn't, like, concentrate on actual work. And I couldn't sit in a chair. Like, my options were stand or lay. Like, I had to be kind of, like... I couldn't bend, like that. That's the tender spot where it was all. And my balls, dude, like, not only like my stomach was black and blue, like around the 3 holes, it's all purple and gross. The belly button all the way down is purple and gross. It was worse than that. The first couple of days were purple and yellow and greens in there, and just it was like all the blood just pooled in my fat and my belly and just fucking all there. But I didn't know it went down to my balls, dude. Like my balls were all swollen. I told you we're gonna get graphic here. You can cover your ears if you like, but my balls were swollen and like tender. So you had to like watch the way you walk and stuff. And then like they have this giant like purple blood bruise streak too. I didn't know this was going to traumatize my balls. He never said anything about it, but my balls look like fucking Gorbachev's forehead. But yeah, it's been a rough week, but Goose has been keeping me company, and rough 2 weeks. Goose has had my back, my kids have had my back, and I'm bouncing back. And while I'm bouncing back, and I'll also say, like, in the depths of surgical pain and being immobile and basically useless and, buried in oxycodone pills and just all high as fuck, the depression was really rough during that, like it was at an all-time peak, But now that I'm starting to feel better and get all my movement back, I'm starting to get my motivation back too. And that's part of the reason why we're here doing this now. I'm starting to get that swagger back a little bit. Got to get my ass back in the gym once I can actually like move freely again. I could probably go start walking. I guess I could start walking the treadmill, but I can't do anything crazy yet. The internet had said that I'd be laid up for about 4 weeks till I was back to normal. I think the doctor said about the same. He said for the first week I wouldn't even be able to put my socks on. And he said after that it'll kind of slowly come back, and that's about exactly what it took. It's about through the first week. By like Saturday, Sunday, I could start to bend over and kind of put my socks on and stuff. But God, was it rough, and God, did I feel like a bum. But I'm recovering now. I'm healthy. I ain't got to worry about them anymore. It's all covered. I got a giant doctor bill from it too. Hospital bill, whatever you want to call it. Like, even with insurance, man, that shit is ridiculous. Like, I'm not even going to tell you how much it is, but it's enough to knock you on your ass for sure. Like, it's like the whole medical industry, man. It's like, I'll just go die then. You know what I mean? Because I can't afford that. Either that or it's you. At this point, it's just fictitious money. Like student loans. Student loans are fictitious money, right? Like, fuck paying those things back. Like, you make payments on them or whatever, but like, that money's not real. You know what I mean? Never was. Medical bills are like that. I worked in medical billing for a little bit, so I can tell you, dude, they'll charge you like $5 for a Band-Aid. You know what I mean? Like, I remember them asking me if I needed any more pain medication before I left the hospital, and I said, nope. So the doctor wrote me a prescription. He said, yep. And I said, I'll wait till I get home, because I'm not paying for another anything here. You know what I mean? Because the bill's big enough. But it is what it is. I mean, it was something that needed to get taken care of, and money is not real anyway, to a certain extent. It is. People have money problems. They get buried in money. Money is a game changer, for sure. But you almost can't look at those big medical bills and feel like the weight of the world's falling down on you. You just gotta kind of go, it is what it is. I'll pay him if I can, when I can, and I'm alive. Fuck them. So it's kind of where I'm at with it, but that was my experience there, and it was good to have my kitty cat with me. He's been my best friend for a while now, so since I got him for Christmas, so I'm excited to continue that journey as well. He likes to jump up on the table and on like the kitchen counters. He's learned how to get up on the counters and stuff now. And he doesn't listen, like, at all. Like, he's the sweetest, most lovable, most playful. Like, he's totally like a lap dog, right? Like, just a total best friend kitty. But he's stubborn as all fuck. Like, if he wants to get into something or go somewhere or whatever, like, you're not gonna stop him or tell him no. Like, you can say, get down, get down, get down, get down, no, get out of there. And he doesn't, he'll look at you like, huh? What? What's that? I can't hear you. And he'll just keep doing what he's doing till you stand up. And once you stand up, and he's like, oh, shit, and he'll run. He'll book it. Like, oh, I'm in trouble. I gotta get off of here. You know what I mean? It's like, so you clearly know you're causing trouble. Don't fucking tell me like, oh, I didn't know. It was just up here, and I didn't know what you were yelling about. Why are you telling me to get down? He knows. But he's still adorable, and I love him. He's very cuddly. He sleeps at my feet at night, and when my alarm clock goes off in the morning for work or whatever, he'll like instantly pop up, and he'll come like purring and laying by my head and like giving me kisses, and like, he's like first one there to wake me up every morning. And we have this little cuddle session and pet session before I get out of bed, so that's always fun too. That's all I got really here for the first episode, live to tape. I just wanted to kind of cover that journey of my surgery. And that's what this is going to be. It's not going to be the tale of all of my surgeries or the too much information podcast or anything like that. But it's just my audio journal, man. I'm just going to talk about shit. This is my life spot. This is where I'm going to talk about everything that's going on in life. And maybe some bigger worldly picture type thing. But This is just kind of my space, like MySpace, but not, this is just for me. So I'll have the pro wrestling podcast. Me and my buddy Dusty are going to be doing a kind of a current events, political type podcast. So I'm not going to do a lot of that kind of stuff here either. I'll keep those opinions over there where people that want to hear them can listen to them. I don't think you'll be coming here for that. This is just for me. This is just my place to be me and talk about me stuff. So if you listened all the way here to the end, I appreciate you and thank you. And I'm going to do this once a week, and I hope that you join me on my journey. We're going to talk about a lot of cool stuff. It's not just going to be me either necessarily. Some of it will be as like a journal entry, depending on what my day is. But other times we'll get into some philosophical type shit. We'll get into some deep conversations and have some fun here. I wanted to do some plugs now that we're at the end here. If you could just bear with me and check out. I got a book. It's called The Gathering, A Bold Journey into the Belly of the Juggalo Underworld. It's about a guy who used to be a fan of Insane Clown Posse and a Juggalo and all that, and kind of grew up and fell out of it and became a kind of a boring, miserable, grumpy, shitty adult. And some way, somehow, life has caused him to end up having to go back to one more gathering. And so it's kind of that journey from the perspective of kind of the lapsed, jaded fan into the festivals and that kind of stuff, the drug culture, all of that. That's available on Amazon in paperback. It's available on Kindle if you're a tablet reader. It's also available on Audible. So I have the full audiobook. Honestly, I recommend if you're a hardcover or a hard copy person, I recommend the paperback, obviously. But, if you're just, and you'll take any of them, go audiobook, bro. I got this awesome narrator, Henry Shrader. He's so much better than I ever could have asked for. He took the book to a new level. It took on a life of its own and became way bigger than I ever could have made it just by having somebody else voice it with his talent. It's pro level quality reading for sure. I'm also in the NFT game. You can check out my NFT collection. It's at Crypyomania. You can search that on OpenSea.io. OpenSea is where the cool kids buy the NFTs. And we have a collection. It's called Crypyomania. They're pro wrestling inspired NFTs. Right now we currently have the Wrestle Pals collection. They're sort of like digital action figures / Funko Pops / trading cards of loosely inspired by professional wrestlers. And when I say loosely inspired, I mean like Bret the Hitman Hart has diamonds on his tights instead of hearts on his tights, and we've changed it so it's not a copyright infringement anymore. But basically that's it. But yeah, fun stuff like that. And we got a new project that's ready to drop anytime now here. It's going to be, it's done. We're waiting on Coinbase to launch their NFT platform. Some of you have just kind of zoned out by now, so I won't go too deep into the NFT stuff. But maybe that'll be a topic of another conversation. But just know that we got them and they're wrestling themed, and you can check those out. On TikTok at Seth Grimes Media. I'm going to be trying to do more over there as well. Obviously on Twitter at Seth Grimes Media. Facebook at Seth Grimes Media. YouTube / United Underworld Media. That's the brand. That's where I have not only new stuff that I'm going to be doing, but all the old like concerts and stuff like that is there as well. Old music, old podcasts. Especially even here below on the podcast feed where you're seeing this. If you're on podcast land, if you're on YouTube, it should be here on YouTube as well, but you can find them all in the podcast feed. a full back catalog of all my old podcasts. The pro wrestling podcast won't be on this feed. It'll be on its own separate feed. And the current event / political show will be on its own feed as well. But everything just me related, all my back catalog stuff, all my reviews that I'm going to be doing and have done in this podcast, as well as like any other time I want to just pop on and do something cool. It's going to be on the Seth Grimes Media podcast feed, Spotify, Apple Music, wherever you like your podcast stuff. And I actually have the first chapter of the audiobook is available on the podcast feed and on YouTube. So if you want to sample the book to see if it's something you might have interest in buying or just see what my writing style's like, check out the whole first chapter, uninterrupted. And I think that covers it. It covers all the plugs. So if you're still sitting here listening through the plugs, lots of shit coming. And I hope that I can just kind of make it through this depression, through these clouds, through these tough times that we're in, and just kind of have another run, make another boom period of just great content being dropped out there, and just be prolific with content and live that good life. And I hope you guys do too. I love doing this, and I appreciate anybody that took the time to listen. So thank you. Peace, love, and pizza. I'm Seth Grimes. Later.